What's going on, dude? How are you?
Hi, Wei. How are you? Good
Pleasure
to meet
to see you.
Yeah, good to see you again.
So I'm pleased that we both got through COVID.
We did.
Yeah.
And it was such not a very bad, pleasant experience, actually.
You know, honestly, like, okay, I had 2 rough days, but after that, I came out of it like a champ. So
yeah, I think it's eventually inevitable. Everyone will catch it.
I totally agree.
Good. I'm glad you did well.
Totally agree, dude. So, guys, you know, I'm so excited because I have. I'm going to use his Instagram handle, but probably one of the most famous watch collectors on the planet, and also one of the watch collectors I respect the most. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Santa Lara.
Thank you. Thank you, Wei.
How are you, sir?
I'm very good, sir. How are you?
Excellent. And so, you know, like when I talk about collectors, to me, you define what that is in essence, right? I remember I had this incredible pleasure of coming by your house last year, and we were looking at your watch collection. And guys, you know, Santa Lara, and he was there first, right? Like he has like the most extraordinary collection of Diane Holters, the most extraordinary collection of Max Busers, of Uhlwerks, actually of the most beautifully hand engraved Uhlwerks that I've ever seen as well. And I love his collection, and I also love the fact that Santa Lara has never followed trends, right?
That's correct.
He's never, like the things that he's bought, and some of them have been very successful, for example, you know, the Rainbow Daytonas that you have, but he was always there first. And he bought with confidence because he loved it in a very sincere and very pure way.
That's right.
And I remember during that trip, we were looking around and I noticed a Jacob, right? And it was this watch.
Twin Turbo Furious. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So the Twin Turbo Furious. And I was intrigued by this watch. And I remember you saying to me, well, you were like, well, tell me, remind me what you said to me.
Yeah. No, you saw this watch, and we were both curious.
Yes.
But you asked me how it wears.
Yes.
You know, and I told you that it wears really comfortably.
Right.
You know, then I talked to you about how much watch you get in a single case, because this watch is both a minute repeating, triple axis, you know, crazy amount of complication.
Yes.
And yet, it's at that level of complication, it's quite accessible.
Yes.
You know, to collectors.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the cool thing that he was like, listen, Wei, check this out. And he's like, look, it's 2 triple axis tourbillons, right? Connected through a differential mechanism. And then you're like, it's got a minute repeater. And then you're like, dude.
Listen to the minute repeater. Yes.
Right? And he played it for me, and you know, we'll play it for you guys in the close-up as well. And I'm like, dude, that minute repeater is phenomenal sounding. And then it's got a column wheel chronograph as well. And then you were like, which was the point, you were like, listen, this is the price of the watch. And actually considering all these
complications in it, you know, I think you are getting such a fair value for the amount of complications that you're getting. Also, I'm of the opinion that if any other brand was doing this, if there was any, like if there was an AP or a Patek, or they were doing something similar, it would be in millions.
Yes.
You know, and it would not be as cool. You know, I actually think these watches are cool and they are fun to wear.
Right.
You know, and to some extent they're a conversation starter as well. You know, gets people curious. You know, and that is watch collecting. You know, you want watch collecting to be fun. You know, you want to be curious about something. You want to be passionate about something. You know.
Totally agree. You know, and I think that's what I love about your perspective on collecting is that it's like, listen, I want to have enjoyment. I remember you were saying like I got into colored watches, like Stella dials, gem set watches, because I like color and I like you know, and it just makes me happy when I put it on. And you were talking about wrist presence, and I have to say that from the perspective of every collector, it matters, right? Like in one way or another, like wrist presence matters. And when you have this on your wrist, it's pretty staggering in terms of what it offers.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean. Yeah, of course you may. But, you know, I never buy a watch thinking, how much is it going to be worth in 6 months' time from now?
Yes.
Which is unfortunately what the trend is now becoming. You know, watches have become a commodity.
Right.
You know, you buy because you think, okay, I'm putting my money in watches, my money is safe. In 6 months' time, a year, when I get tired, I get rid of the watch, I get my money back.
Right.
It's become about that. You know, good old days, we used to work hard, make money to buy a watch for enjoyment.
Right.
Enjoyment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what collecting was about.
Yes.
I think it should be about. So coming back to Jacob, it brought that memory back to me. When we are surrounded by so many people buying Rolexes and Pateks just because, or APs, because you know it's so sought after and the value retains. So this reignited a little bit my passion again. You know, wow, you know, that is something so different. You know,
that's awesome.
You know, perhaps it doesn't make financial sense to buy them, but that's watch collecting, man. You buy it because you know, you like it.
Yeah, it connects with you,
passion,
and it makes you
exactly
happy,
connects,
and it gives
makes you
pleasure,
happy.
right?
Exactly.
Like it was funny because Santa Laura and I were both like messaging each other during COVID quarantine.
Yes, right.
And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just sitting around my house wearing watches. I'm like, oh, dude, me too.
Yeah,
right?
right. In my underwear.
In his underwear. Okay, fine. In my underwear as well. And then I messaged him a picture of me wearing this watch, and he messaged me a picture of him wearing it at the same time as well, coincidentally, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what, I want to go back to what you were talking about a little bit, because it's true, you know, in the last couple of years, especially actually the last 24 months, watch collecting has become a very different place, right?
Yes, it has.
And when you look at the premiums that are associated with like 5711s, 15202s, you know, any Richard Mille, or any
Patek,
steel sports world, actually any sports Rolex period, you know, like you're right, it's become a place where it's almost a little bit daunting because everyone's trying to get in there from the investment perspective, and we've lost a little bit the purity of enjoyment.
That's right.
You know?
And you know, it's a bit like if you have a friend who starts buying watches as an investment, then you want to do the same. Right. Because we all want to be successful and make money and this and that, right? So once we start looking at watches as a place to invest and put our money, I think that's where the passion becomes a bit more faded. You know, that then other brands may fly a little bit under the radar. Right. You know, to me, Jacob is one of those brands that's flying under the radar, and they do incredible things, you know?
Dude, you talked about wrist presence, and I've had this on my wrist now for a couple of minutes. And first of all, it's incredibly comfortable. Right?
It's very comfortable, right?
Like I had no idea, like it's, you know, a very substantial.
That's the gold one, so it's a bit heavy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I like heavy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But it's really actually remarkably balanced. It's comfortable on the wrist. I think the use of some amount of like, you know, forged carbon here has sort of like made it not crazily heavy. But when you're looking at these two triple axis tourbillons, it's insane,
right?
Yeah, it's totally insane. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's like, this is the essence of watch collecting as well, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You see, you look at it. I mean, you can look at this and enjoy.
Right.
You know, in the same way that you look at the Betoons or Urwerks or MB&F, and you really appreciate the difference to the mainstream.
Yes.
You know, I'm not saying Rolex is not nice or Patek is not nice. They are nice, but it's just a different level.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Like, why do you think it is now, especially, that it seems like independents are blowing up more than ever?
Because honestly, I think because no one can buy a Rolex or an AP or Richard Mille or Patek.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have so much cash. What do you want to do? You want to buy a watch, so you go and buy independents. And that's why independents are now actually appreciating in price as well. You know, they're becoming so scarce that many brands, as you know, have a wait list now. You know, have a wait list for their watches.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I would also put Jacob as an independent because it's an independently owned company. And I think the three things that I love about independent watches is first that for every watch there's a singularity.
That's right.
There wasn't a committee. There wasn't a big group where everyone got together. It was just one guy, and it was like, this is what I want to do.
His story is not so different than Max's or Felix's. The guy has a vision.
Yes.
And he says, hey, I want to put two triple axis tourbillons inside a watch.
Right.
So he goes to his watchmaker and says, hey, how can you make that happen?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I want to make a watch that has a dome dial. Yes. How do you make that happen? He's not a watchmaker. I appreciate that. But I like his creativity.
Absolutely.
You know?
You know, I dig it. And then the other thing that I like also about independent watchmaking, and I think this applies to Jacob as well, because I've just experienced it myself, is that you can actually speak to the people who created the watches.
Yeah.
Like, you can hang out with them. Like, you develop a relationship with them. And having gone to New York recently and spending a bit of time with Jacob and his son Ben, who is the CEO of the company now, I have to say they're like a remarkably like warm, approachable, and like...
And down to earth.
And surprisingly, actually, surprisingly, yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, do they have the same image as MB&F or Urwerk or de Betoon? No, or not yet.
Right.
But should their image be the basis of how we judge what they create?
Yes.
Is that fair? I don't think that's fair. I think we should look at the watches.
I totally agree.
You know what I mean? Not the circumstances behind the people behind who are creating those watches, but what they create.
Yes.
You know.
I think like judging it purely from just the technical credibility, design beauty, and just like as you were saying, the wrist presence, there's something really there.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's like, okay, so they didn't like, you know, have a background where it's a guy in a shed somewhere, you know, making everything himself.
Exactly.
But
started with a pocket watch, this and that. No.
Exactly. But then again, a lot of other people who are very successful in the industry are also not watchmakers.
Exactly.
Right? Like Richard Mille is not a watchmaker, you know?
Max is not
He's not a watchmaker, exactly. Okay, so Santa Lara, I have to ask you
Sure.
about this amazing watch that you're wearing on the wrist,
Yeah.
which is the Astronomia.
Yes.
How did you get interested in this watch?
I was traveling. I took a flight from Singapore to Dubai. This is about just before COVID. And the gentleman next to me was wearing this watch. So throughout the flight, I was wondering, what is this guy wearing? And it was a night flight, and I didn't want to disturb the guy to ask him, hey, what are you wearing, right? To my surprise, every time an air stewardess or a flight crew passed by this guy, they asked him, excuse me, may I ask, what watch are you wearing? And the guy was like, I'm wearing the Jacob. It was only the second time that they asked that I got the name Jacob.
Right.
And I said to myself, I'm going to land in Dubai and I'm going to find out about this brand, man, and there I was wearing MBNFs and Urbergs, and I thought, that's very unique,
Right.
So I landed in Dubai and I spoke to a friend of mine in New York who then explained to me the Jacob story and what he's doing, what he produces. Then I started reading about his watches, and then that got me really interested and keen. So that started me on the path of, definitely I need to get myself a
Dude, that's so cool. Can I take a look at that?
Of course you can.
So I remember when I went to New York and I was hanging out with Jacob and Ben, and they were like, okay, take a look at whatever watches you want. And I remember I wanted to see one of these. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the Astronomia Sky. Right?
That's right, yeah.
Which is, dude, it's insane. So, guys, what you have here is a watch that's on a carriage that moves one full revolution every 20 minutes. Then you've got a differential-driven hour-a-minute indicator that always stays upright because of the differential. You've got a triple-axis tourbillon, which is incredible, right? Then you've got in the center this miniature depiction of Earth, which actually has an AM/PM indicator because it rotates inside of a half dome of sapphire as well. Then you've got a Jacob diamond, which is 288 facets, which is cut from a 4-carat stone. And then you've got this miniature depiction of Mars, and they're all rotating as well. And then this is cool also, you've got a sidereal time indication on the bottom that rotates once in a year, and you've got like the little oculus here where you can see the sky chart, like that sky over wherever you happen to be or wherever you have it created to reflect on the sky chart. And then you've got a month indicator as well on the rim of the sidereal indicator, which is, it's actually, dude, that's amazing.
I know.
I was
just thinking how many complications, and this watch, you may wonder, wow, that's a lot of complications. How do I adjust the watch? It comes with an app, an iPhone app.
Right.
You know what I mean? It tells you exactly how to adjust given the date.
That's amazing, dude. So I love the fact that Jacob's actually created an app to teach you how to adjust your watch as well.
It's not like, painstakingly difficult to adjust it.
Yeah.
It's quite simple.
I never realized it also, but like how incredibly transparent this entire watch, because you've got the mid case is sapphire, and then you've got this dome of sapphire as well. And everywhere you look, everything's completely visible. So again, from wrist presence.
And it has this kind of really three-dimensional look to it. You know what I mean? If you look at it from this angle, I don't know if you can see. You see how the Earth is just almost touching the dome. You see what I mean?
Yes.
It's very clever. You really appreciate that they have used a lot of the space under this dome for complications that matter. Or
totally.
Look good. Or look good.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like what I like about it is that I think that we've got watches that had oscillators on the dial before, like the Freak, or I think Piaget's Tourbillon Relative, and so on like that. And then you've had celestial star time complications as well. You've had planetariums from Christian van der Klauw, But this kind of takes everything and puts it into one amphitheater, which is probably the most like.
You said it well. Exactly. And then you look at this. It's amazing.
It's incredible.
Can you imagine to wear this on the wrist?
Dude,
it's
incredible.
Such a fun watch.
And so what's like the reaction you get when you have this on your wrist?
Honestly, people ask me, what are you wearing? Every time I get inside the lift and stuff like that, I can see from the corner of their eye, they're checking, what watches they're wearing. I mean, people do that, especially if you're in confined spaces and stuff like that,
Dude, that's amazing.
For me, this is a lot of fun. I have as much fun with this as I have wearing a Nautilus.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just different levels.
Absolutely. So let's go from there to the watch that I think is also like one of the most intriguing, in that it takes the complication of a musical watch, but it connects it with actually one of my favorite movies of all time.
Me too. Exactly.
Right? So 1972, a film called The Godfather was released. And what's interesting about that film is it almost never got made. The movie like the script came to Francis Ford Coppola, but he was like the last choice in the world,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then like Paramount Pictures like hated his casting choices. So they hated Al Pacino, who they thought was like kind of anemic looking.
Yeah.
They hated Marlon Brando because they thought he was completely unreliable. But somehow they managed to get that movie made. And to this day, like if it comes on, I never turn it off.
Same. Yeah, I'm so glad it's playing on Singapore Airlines now. The trilogy. But yeah.
Amazing.
But it's always been one of my favorite movies.
Yes.
You know, especially the second part, it's always been one of my favorite movies. And when I first saw this watch, I was like, wow, you know, for them to put the Godfather tune in this watch, and it sounds so good.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't expect for this watch to play the Godfather tune this clearly and this well, you know? So I was taken aback, to be honest with you.
Incredible.
Okay, so then I thought, okay, it has a Godfather tune, and then it has a minute repeating too. It's
Yes,
insane.
yes.
You know, and it sounds so good. The minute repeater sounds really good.
Dude, so I think at the end of this, I've got to ask you to play all these different watches because we are, you know, we would be sort of super depressed if we saw this amazing finery and didn't get to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like looking at the top of this watch, I'm just blown away from the technical perspective, right? So the way musical watches work, and you know, I think in the past Breguet's made one before. I think it played Bach, right? You know, but I love the fact that Jacob took this technology, executed it at the very highest level, but made like something that really connects with those of us who love like real cinema, you know, like The Godfather. So Nino Rota's tune is played off with these two barrels with pins on it that are striking a musical comb. You've got Vito Corleone on one of the music boxes, the Godfather poster on the other one, and then you've got like a flying regulator for the music on the top right. And then you see the entire minute repeater train on the bottom, so the two hammers and the two gongs down here with another flying regulator. And then you've got, dude, just to throw it in there, a triple axis tourbillon, just
for the fun of it. You know, and you know what I love about the case?
Yes.
Look at his cello.
Oh, dude, that's incredible. So they actually made
amazing, right?
Yes, the crown, the cello.
The crown is actually a cello. You pull it out and then you wind the watch, and you know.
That's incredible.
Insane.
Yeah, I have to say, you know, Santalara, you know, the journey for me to start to understand Jacob started in your house, then kind of continued in New York when I recently met Jacob and Ben. But it's really like today to see these three watches here. You're absolutely right. From a wrist presence perspective, they're incredible. From a technical perspective, they're freaking mind-blowing, actually. And the thing is also is like you can put as much technical value as you want into a watch, but it's either it's cool or it's not cool.
Yeah.
And they're cool.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, it's cool, Wei. And honestly, I think if any other brands out there were to do these many complications under one roof, let's say, they would be charging you a hell of a lot more. And it would be less fun. Because they just take themselves too seriously. You know, if AP did this or Patek did this, wow.
Right.
You know, we invite a few people to please buy this. This is so accessible, so fun. You know, you can go there and talk to people, talk to the people who made the watch. You know.
Amazing. Dude, I love it. I have to say, and I just want to reiterate what Santalara said about Jacob and Ben being surprisingly down to earth, because you know they're in this very glamorous profession.
Yes, exactly.
They're actually like the nicest guys.
They are. They're fun.
Although I will say, please never get into a tequila drinking competition with Jacob, because that happened to me at Casa Cipriano. Oh my God, dude. I've never been that hammered in my life.
The man can drink.
The man can really drink.
The man can really drink.
So, buddy, if you don't mind, can we ask you to play?
Absolutely, yes.
So maybe we can start with The Godfather. You can start with the theme.
Yeah, sure. So you press this.
Dude, that's incredible.
Right?
Like it plays it super well, right? And it's so distinct and so clear as well.
Crazy, right?
Fantastic.
So on full wind, it plays twice.
Wow, okay.
So you pull this out and you go counterclockwise to wind it. Music. And clockwise to wind the watch.
Can we hear the repeater on that as well?
Of course, yeah. See, this is surrounded by glass.
Right.
The whole thing is glass.
Yes.
So you're not going to have that echo.
Right.
Okay?
It's very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna have the same echo that you have.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? Because the whole thing is it's glass.
Yes.
Right? So it kind of eats the sound a little bit. It doesn't, you know?
Can we hear the...
Yeah, but if you hear it on this, you will find that it's louder.
Dude, that's a great sounding repeater.
Right? Yeah, because I think the case here.
Yes, it amplifies super
amplifies
well. Really well.
Quite well. Yeah.
Brother, thank you so much.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you
for the
Thanks for your time. Yeah.
And
thank you so
I
much.
absolutely loved you walking me through Jacob, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time and your analysis.
And I guess the last thing I want to close on is, again, this guy, he always gets it right. You know, like if you look at his watch collection, which I think we only showed like probably like 1/20th of, like every choice he's made has been spot on because he has incredible discernment, great taste, and courage as well.
I think as long as you buy with heart, you know, I think you should go back to what was watch collecting about, which was passion. You went in and you saw a nice Rolex, the color, because it was green or it was the rainbow or it was red, it spoke to you, you liked it, you know? So that's, I think, what should be watch collecting about. And if you are passionate about watches and you collect with heart rather than thinking about dollar and cents, you know, then you'll find that this brand especially is very, very appealing. At least that's what I think.
Wise words, brother.
Right,
thank you very much.
Thanks,
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.